Hey everyone, I'm Amelia, and tonight we're talking about a company that may have changed the future of humanity forever. Just a few years ago, almost nobody had heard of OpenAI. Now, its technology is everywhere. From ChatGPT to AI-generated videos to machines that can write, speak, code, and think faster than most people ever imagined. But behind the explosion of artificial intelligence is a story filled with power struggles, billion-dollar deals, internal chaos, and one of the most shocking CEO battles in Silicon Valley history. This is the rise of OpenAI. OpenAI is currently valued at over $150 billion. It is a massive entity that influences the global economy and international security, yet it remains defined by internal power struggles and ongoing debates over AI ethics. This global influence began with the 2022 release of ChatGPT, a product that launched a new technological revolution and made artificial intelligence accessible to the general public. Before building this software empire, Sam Altman was a student at Stanford. He eventually dropped out to pursue his own business ventures, marking the start of a rapid ascent through Silicon Valley. Altman's first startup, Looped, led him to Y Combinator. By 2014, he had become the organization's president, building a network of power so extensive that Y Combinator founder Paul Graham once remarked, "If you put Sam on a deserted island, a few years later he would be king." The engine behind OpenAI wasn't just technical expertise. It was Altman's ability to navigate and consolidate power within the world's most competitive tech ecosystem. In 2015, the AI landscape was a monopoly. Google controlled the vast majority of the world's top talent, leaving very little room for competition or independent research. Elon Musk grew increasingly concerned that this concentration of power could threaten the survival of humanity. He believed that unchecked AI, controlled by a single corporation, posed an existential risk. To create a counterweight to Google, Musk joined forces with Sam Altman, Greg Brockman, and Ilya Sutskever to found OpenAI in late 2015. They designed the organization with a specific mandate. It was to be a nonprofit dedicated to open-source research that would serve all of humanity. This founding mission established a direct paradox. The lab was created specifically to prevent the rise of a closed, profit-driven tech empire. Despite having over $1 billion in committed funding, the early days were chaotic. The team didn't have an office and instead ran their operations out of Greg Brockman's apartment. There was no initial focus. The researchers experimented with everything from robotics to training AI to play the video game Dota 2, operating under a philosophy of trying things to see what happens. Eventually, the team's various projects converged into one monumental goal: artificial general intelligence, or AGI. They define AGI as a system that can learn any skill and ultimately surpass human intelligence. Once it reaches that threshold, the system could theoretically begin to self-improve at an exponential rate. This ambition caused deep internal anxiety. Some employees realized they were working on either the most beneficial invention in history or the most dangerous one. Pursuing such a high-stakes technology without a clear ethical roadmap ensured that the company's original boundaries would eventually be tested. In 2017, a research paper from Google titled "Attention is All You Need" provided the technical turning point the team needed. OpenAI quickly adopted the transformer architecture described in the paper. This technology allowed their models to process massive datasets and handle multiple complex tasks at once, leading to the creation of GPT. Training these GPT models required a staggering amount of information. OpenAI began scraping the internet on a massive scale, pulling in books, articles, and millions of websites to fuel the system. This led to immediate controversy. Critics and copyright holders pointed out that OpenAI was using proprietary data and copyrighted work without permission. The company's response mirrored a classic Silicon Valley mantra: build first, apologize later. In their pursuit of a system that could learn everything, OpenAI chose to prioritize the acquisition of data over the legal concerns of publishers. For the leadership, the goal of creating this technology justified the compromise. By 2018, the idealistic mission began to fracture. Elon Musk's growing interest in AI for Tesla's self-driving cars created a direct conflict of interest with the board. Musk attempted to take full control of OpenAI, proposing that he become CEO and merge the organization into Tesla. The board rejected Musk's proposal. Shortly after, Musk left the board of directors and withdrew his financial support. Musk's departure removed the primary financial backing that allowed OpenAI to exist as a nonprofit. Without his funding, the organization faced an immediate existential crisis. By 2019, the leadership faced a harsh reality. The computing power needed to achieve AGI was far too expensive for a nonprofit budget to sustain. To stay competitive, OpenAI switched to a tap-to-profit model. This change allowed them to attract massive investments from venture capitalists and corporate partners. Microsoft immediately invested $1 billion, integrating GPT into its Azure infrastructure. This made OpenAI heavily dependent on Microsoft's hardware and servers. The company has moved far beyond its origins in a San Francisco apartment. It is now a highly capitalized corporate entity at the center of the global tech industry. That accumulation of capital stems directly from late 2022, when a small research lab launched a text generator called ChatGPT. This chart visualizes the application's daily user growth. It shows a steep climb, reaching 1 million active users by its 5th day online and crossing the 100 million mark in just 2 months. When we expand the axes to compare this trajectory against older applications like Instagram or TikTok, the disparity is stark. ChatGPT became the fastest adopted internet application in history. Almost overnight, a tool built for internal academic research became a ubiquitous utility, equipped with enough leverage to influence the global economy and international politics. But scaling at this speed strained the organization's internal architecture. Behind the doors of the Pioneer Building in San Francisco, the workforce split into 2 distinctly opposed camps. The product faction wanted to capitalize on the momentum. They pushed to commercialize the technology, demanding rapid public deployment for every new iteration they developed. The opposing safety faction warned against acceleration. These researchers argued that releasing increasingly capable AI without rigorous, long-term testing posed severe, unpredictable risks to public safety. The company's chief scientist, Ilya Sutskever, emerged as the central figure for these safety concerns, repeatedly advocating for strict guardrails and a slower release schedule. When the executives continued to prioritize rapid deployment, several prominent safety researchers walked out entirely. They secured funding to build Anthropic, a rival AI laboratory focused explicitly on strict safety protocols. The formation of Anthropic turned an internal disagreement over deployment timelines into a physical split that fractured the laboratory's original talent pool. On November 17, 2023, the locus of control shifted away from the engineers toward the 6 individuals holding seats at the corporate boardroom table. In a sudden unilateral move, the board of directors exercised their authority to immediately terminate CEO Sam Altman. In their required public disclosure, the board provided a brief justification. They stated Altman had not been consistently honest in his communications with them. Removing the most visible executive in the tech industry triggered immediate chaos. Tech equities fluctuated, venture capital negotiations froze, and partner corporations scrambled. A handful of non-executive directors had removed the leader of the AI sector in an afternoon, exposing the unusual, fragile governance structure that managed the world's most powerful startup. The response from within the company was immediate. Over 700 employees signed an open letter demanding the board's resignation, threatening a mass walkout if Altman was not reinstated. Microsoft, holding billions in server infrastructure and equity tied to the startup, offered advanced research positions to Altman and any employee who followed him. The financial and internal pressure was insurmountable. Within 5 days, the board capitulated, and Altman walked back into the building as the reinstated chief executive. He returned with significantly more power. The original board members who orchestrated his firing were replaced, and key internal critics, including safety advocate Ilya Sutskever, quickly exited the organization. This failed coup ended the era of internal safety breaks. It left the product faction with absolute, uncontested control over the company's future development. Entering 2024, the newly consolidated leadership pursued aggressive commercial expansion, embedding their models directly into the operating systems of global hardware giants like Apple. They executed a rapid sequence of product releases, including multimodal systems that analyze audio in real time, the Sora video creation tool, and autonomous digital agents. To maintain this momentum and secure lucrative government contracts, leadership lifted a strict clause in their founding charter that had previously banned the technology's use for military applications. With the internal ban removed, the organization formally commenced software development operations with the United States Pentagon. Those defense partnerships expanded to include international allies, leading to data analysis and logistical software integration with NATO. But scraping the internet for the massive datasets required to build these military and commercial systems triggered intense legal backlash, resulting in class action lawsuits regarding data copyright and civilian surveillance. By removing its own safety limits, the company succeeded in dominating the market, but simultaneously entangled itself in global defense and legal chaos. Today, the boardroom politics of Silicon Valley are overshadowed by external geopolitical competition, particularly as rival tech sectors in Beijing accelerate their own development cycles. Foreign competitors, notably China's DeepSeek, recently proved that highly advanced models can be built much cheaper, challenging the assumption that the leading edge of AI is an American monopoly. To stay ahead of these lean competitors, executives are now building enormous, power-intensive server networks, betting entirely on raw computational force to win the race to achieve AGI. The struggle for control inside the company is over, but it has triggered a larger transition. OpenAI has moved from a cautious research lab to a core piece of global defense and commercial infrastructure, meaning the next phase of the AI race will be defined by the momentum of the market, rather than the concerns of the researchers who started it.